Welcome to Bayona's RC World. In today's video, we're going to start on the actual build series of the Plains Revive Giant Scale P47 Thunderbolt. The version that I have chosen for myself is the Razorback. This is a giant scale Top Flite reproduction kit, all based off the original model by Top Flite. I'm looking forward to getting into the box, and we'll go ahead and see what Plains Revive has in store for you when you receive your own order, depending on what model it is. But we're going to be showcasing the P47 Giant Scale here on this build series here at Bayona's RC World. Don't forget to click that like, subscribe to the channel, and if you enjoy the video, leave a comment. This is pretty much minus the two inner boards, cardboard pieces that we actually had in here that also had the decal sheet. That has been removed, but once you open this thing up, this is pretty much what you would find. And so we got a lot of bubble wrap, which is awesome stuff, and everything is all nice and packaged so that your lumber can make the safe journey to your doorstep. And as you can see, we got some of the wingtips here. We've got two wingtips. I really don't know what this is for at this point, because you know we have to go through the actual instruction manual and everything and find out where all these things go. But as you can see how it's all nicely packaged and bubble wrapped. Okay, oh, look at that, nicely laser cut. I mean, that thing just pops right out. We got all the laser cut ribs on this one here. And so we're just going to put this to the side here. I'm going to put it on my table, and of course we'll pan over to the table once I get everything out. But I just want to showcase all the lumber as you would receive it in your kit. And this is the first time I'm opening these things up, so I want to share this with you. So we got a big thick block here. I wonder what that one's for. And nice ply, light ply. We're just gonna be taking things out, guys, and I mean, just look how easily this thing comes apart. Nice and clean from the actual part tree, well, after it's laser cut. So really nice. I don't know what this one's for. More than likely firewall, maybe. Well, we'll find out, that's for sure. Look at all this stock. I'm gonna showcase it this way. Really nice. And this is the more than likely the leading edges, and you can see how straight they are right from the get-go. This is basically how you would receive it. I mean, Tim has gone the extra mile to ensure that his basic the kit arrives to you safe and sound, from the actual thickness of the box that everything is contained in, and then of course this bubble wrapping of all the parts here. I mean, dang, talk about really attention to detail on that one, because we all know the original kits, they didn't come bubble wrapped. They have this tissue in there, and sometimes you get dinged up with all the hardware getting moved around, you know, inside the kit, and sometimes your sheeting gets cracked, balsa stock gets dinged up and everything. So yeah, and this is sheeting here, just really nice, really nice. But if you don't want to watch this part, then you could pretty much just fast forward. Right. The hydro braces. And more ply formers. And we got the servo tray. awesome stuff. And we got a dog. Okay, so that's pretty much the whole bottom section, all the way down. No more bubble wrap there. Then we got, I believe these will be the tips of the horizontal stabilizer. And we got our packaged hardwood and some more blocks, all contained in these bags. And since I got the Razorback version, we got the Razorback canopy that is included with this kit. If you have chosen the bubble, the P47 D version, then you would get the bubble canopy. Alright, some plastic parts. If you are not fond with the plastic parts in any of these kits, then look no further. Plains Revive, they also do the fiberglass cowling and all the fiberglass parts for this, should you choose to go that route. As far as I'm concerned, I've always used the plastic parts in the original kits without no issues, and so I'll just go ahead and use that. Now, later on, depending down the line, depending how long I still have this model, it's still flying at the time, I could order the fiberglass parts if should something go wrong with these. But yeah, these are all the plastic parts, really nice. And here's the cowling part. So I mean, really looking forward to this. So that's pretty much all inside the box, guys. So now we're gonna go ahead and just pan over to the table and see everything that we got pulled out here. That's pretty much all the lumber that comes inside the giant scale P47 kit, reproduction kit. So the balsa and the ply. The only thing it does not come with is your actual hardware. So that would be the responsibility of the end user. So you choose your own hardware through many different sources, wherever you guys go to. And yeah, so I like to resource mine through Aiming Hobbies and stuff like that, getting like Southern products, Dubro products and stuff. As far as my retracts, I'm going to go with Sierra Giant Scale as far as the main and retractable tail gear. And as far as engine of choice, at the moment, I'm looking at a Sato FG60R 3-cylinder. I know a lot of you are saying that it's, you know, for this model, it subpar as far as it's concerned. I don't know. I like the 3-cylinder. It's going to be my first 3-cylinder, and at the same time, I want to do justice, especially if I'm going to be putting a lot of detail onto this model. Of course, it's going to add a little bit more weight, and so I don't want the plane to be sluggish and stuff. And so it's better to have more power and not need it than to need it and not have it. And so I don't know. I really like the sound of a 3-cylinder, maybe even the 90, the FG90. Downfall of the 90 is that your cylinder would stick out the top of the cowling unless you get a bigger cowling made. The other thing is with the 60, the FG60 3-cylinder, it'll fit directly inside the cowling, no issues. But with the 90, you can spin 4-bladed bigger prop, and worst case scenario, I have a 55 DLE and on hand right now, or I can use a 80cc DLE engine, which would be, of course, way cheaper than the Satos and stuff. I know there's other 3-cylinder 4-strokes out there, gas, and I have to use gas, guys. I can't use nitro because nitro is very hard to get here on the Pacific Island of Guam, and so gas is the only way to go. Even to go electric, it's hard to get lipos here on island, so really gas is the best thing to do. And so yeah, other than that, that's pretty much what we got going on here. And as you can see, we panned over right over here. I got the plans for the horizontal stabilizer pretty much cut out, and I already got it on this drywall, basically gypsum board. Chose this board because the ease of the T-pin to go through, and it still holds the parts down. And so this is the leftover that I got. Of course, when we get into the bulk of the actual build, my table is going to kind of change because I'm going to have a table and I'm going to have a bigger sheet of this laid out here. But for now, we're doing the horizontal stabilizer and the vertical fin and rudder. So this small section here is good enough. I like how it's all binded up and everything here. And this is your typical top flight manual. Also talks about engine choice decisions and stuff like that you need to make kind of like ahead of time. And so your engine of choice, radio equipment, retracts, and all that stuff. So yeah, all that, you know, this pretty much your typical top flight manual. We are going to start, and before we can start, we basically got to collect and gather up our parts to make up this particular assembly that we're going to be doing, which is the stabilizer and elevators. All right, so as per the manual, they lay out, you know, the size of lumber that you need, the length, and all that stuff. And so you just cross-reference it with your plans, and then at the same time, if it's for based off a laser cut sheet, just go based off the pattern and look for the things that you need. This is what came out from the kit. This is part number P47 GS04, and I went through everything based off the manual, and it's all there. It's just not in the exact location as per the manual. Okay, so here is that number, P47 GS04. So you have two of these sheets. Now you're going to see that the stab trailing edge joiner is top left, stab trailing edge doubler is to the right of that, and then elevator leading edge spar is right below both. Now if you get your part, that stab trailing edge joiner is here on the left, but your stab trailing edge doubler is not to the right of it, it's below that. And also the trailing edge, the elevator leading edge spar is all the way to the right, and it's not right here. Okay, so the laser cut parts are not exactly in the same position as in the manual, but it is on that part sheet. You just gotta, you know, look for it and then just label it like I did here. And so what I did was I went there and I labeled everything with a pen. Okay, so everything is there. It is just not in the same position as in the manual. So just food for thought. Just take your time. I don't know if it's for everything, the whole kit, or is it just this? Because we're just concentrating on this assembly portion right now. We're not worrying about everything else. That will come later. But that's what I found, and I just wanted to, you know, put that notation out there. It's in the kit. It's not in the exact order on the manual that's on your sheet, that the laser cut, but it's the parts are there. You just got to look for it and just, you know, mark it down so that you know what it is. All right, so we got the leading edge stock here, and these are the 3/8 by 1/2 by 18 inches, and so, or 3/8 here by 1/2 by 18-inch long. And so there's two of that. This 1/4 by 1/4 by 30, this is going to make up the jig, the rib jig. So that's what this is. And the rib jigs basically going to be the length of your jig tabs. So from S2 to S5, your jig tabs are right down here, and so you're going to cut your stock to the length of your jig tabs for left and right. Okay, and so what I did with that is, as you can see here, I have S2, S3, S4, and on the second stick I got S5, and that's going to take care of the left side jigs. And then of course when you progress to the steps, you're going to utilize the leftover, and then one more stock, one more 1/4 by 1/4 by 30 inch to make up the right side jig. And then of course we got our ribs, excuse me, and so we just gotta cut them out, separate it from the sheet, and true up any edges and stuff, and then we'll go ahead and start getting everything all situated over the plans. Step number 2, and we're gonna stab trailing edge. Where's our stab trailing edge? Which is this one right here. I'm just using an X-Acto to kind of cut the tabs here so we don't break anything. But look how clean that is. It just cuts right out. I mean, just falls out. Now we're just gonna sand the tabs and just make it nice and smooth. But we need the stab trailing edge and also the stab doubler, trailing edge doubler, which is this one right here. So basically it's this and this, and it's gonna get glued on just like that, making sure everything is lined up perfectly. Stab doubler. That trailing edge. Sorry guys about the humming in the background there, because my AC is has been acting up for the past few days here, so I think it's either the capacitor or the motor fan going bad. So if you hear that humming, I'm sorry. I'm not asking for S6 and S1 just yet, but I'll just go ahead and separate that as well. There you go. We got our first laser cut sheet completely empty. So we've got all this S1, S2, all the way to S6. And we'll just basically sand this and get all these tabs flush without forming or altering the airfoil of the ribs there. So we got all of that. Now I'm just gonna go grab some sandpaper and we're gonna go ahead and start sanding the ribs here, getting all these tabs nice and smooth. Okay. And so just like that, just real easy. That's it, pretty much. I mean, it's really fine, so it's not like it's really protruding out much. But you really want the bottoms to be nice and straight, because you want it to be really flat on the build table. Okay. So pretty much just like that. Real easy. Yeah, that aircon is kind of irritating me right now. Alright. That was just my light sanding, so I'm not too worried about it. If I'm doing heavy sanding work, I'll take it outside. Unfortunately, because my current shop is located inside my house, and my old shop got hit with termites, and so we had to eradicate that, and also got some water damage in there from the other storm. And so yeah, because the roof on that one is Butler tin and treated lumber on top, but the surrounding walls is all concrete. So that's that. So I have to move things into the house and put the other planes in another room, and so yeah, it's a mess. But we already basically glued the stab trailing edge doubler to the trailing edge, stab trailing edge right here. Okay, and so this is going to go down just like that onto the ribs. So we're going to start making our rib jigs, and so we're going to go from S2 all the way to S5. So we got S2, S3, S4, and S5. And so these jigs are going to be cut from the 1/4 by 1/4 by 30 inch stock, and it's also going to be the length of your jig tabs on the bottom. Okay, so it doesn't have to be exact, but it says the length of the jig tab. So I'm just going to do this S2, this is S2, and then we got S3. I should actually do it like that. S3. So this is S3, S3. and then we don't have enough for S4, so we need to get another square stock. We're gonna basically get this 1/4 by 1/4, and this is by, of course, 30 inches long. Right there. And so now we did S2 and S3, now we gotta do S4. So we're just gonna get our measurements for S4. And so there's 2. This is S4. And then we got S5. Okay. This is S5. S5. Now all this, basically we're just gonna cut it. This is S4. This is S4. S5. This is okay. We got S2, and these are our jig. This is what's going to hold the ribs down onto the plans. This is our S4 and our S5. Hey, okay. And so what I'm going to do to start this off is I'm going to put my metal ruler lined up with the rib here, just like that, and then I'm going to butt up this against that ruler. Use the T-pins to secure the jig. And so that's for the S2. We'll do the same thing for S3. So we got S2, S3, we gotta do S4. I'm only doing one side first, and then when we get the ribs on there, we'll butt up the other side to the rib and then secure it down tight. That way it's holding. And also we need to get the leading edge, elevator leading edge. So we go S2, and so this is going to go just like that. It's going to go down on there. So make sure your rib goes all the way down into the notch. S2, S3, the elevator leading edge is also going to get placed on there as well. So just make sure that it's pushed down all the way. Alright, and then from here, since like I said we got only one side, now you just basically butt up your ribs. Use your square to basically gauge where you want this to stop and start type deal. Okay. Oh, we're right about there. We'll just eyeball it for now and then we'll adjust it here shortly. So then we'll go ahead and take the other side of the jig, place it on there, and sandwich that rib down, holding it with your T-pins, of course. So that's one. It's nice and tight. Two. S3. That's 4. And just making sure that your ribs are also pressed down onto the table. And that's 5. And then from there, now we're going to go ahead and make sure that our trailing edge here is really lined up with the plans, and we could just adjust this by sliding the rib back or forth onto the plan until we get the proper alignment here. I think that's about right there. That one's about right. That one's about right as well. Okay. And then just making sure that our trailing edge is also over the plan. That's over the plans. That's over the plans. All right. So just like that. Let's go double check this. Of course, this one will hold that in when we put S6 in there. And just make sure that, like I said, your ribs or rib jig tabs are actually touching the build surface. Alright, so now we got that, and then from here we're going to go ahead and grab our stab trailing edge joiner. There's two of them and they got to be glued together. Alright, and we're going to sand this smooth, of course. We're going to dry fit everything, make sure everything is good, just like that. And once this is glued, what this is going to do is it's going to get glued in right here, just like such. Joining both halves together, just like that. Alright, and once we get that done, then we can go ahead and start putting like S1, S6, the leading edge. But when we do the leading edge, we're going to have to bevel the front of the ribs. I totally forgot, but I'll go back and I'll put a center line in each rib in the front. Should have done that when it was off of before we put it on here. And then draw a center line down this stop. That way you can just line things up easier and then glue it. Well, I'll go ahead and take care of that. So, let me go ahead and pan you guys out real quick here. So we're gonna go ahead and join the stab trailing edge joiner, which is the two pieces that we just popped out. And so, since I'm using CA, I don't have the luxury of moving it around after I put the glue and, you know, combine both parts. You know, if you're using type bond glue, then you got all the time in the world basically to move it around and get it all aligned right. So in this case, since I'm using Zap Medium, what I did was I go ahead and put a piece of tape, and after everything is all aligned, and then I'll just separate it like this slightly. Go ahead and put the glue and then close it straight back, and that will keep the alignment nice and straight. And once everything is good and dry, go ahead and remove the tape. Alright, so just move it away, and then we'll just go ahead and place our CA just like such. Go ahead and close it back. Just like that. That way we know that our part is straight, and we don't have to come back and try to sand off the high spots and all that other stuff, and of course making your part smaller than it was intended because of the excess sanding. So all we have to do now is just real lightly just sand both parts together and we're good to go. But this piece is basically going to go right smack there, and this is going to join both halves of the stabilizer together as such. Okay, so that's basically how that's going to go on there. And so from here we'll just lightly sand. Keeping it nice and straight, so we're not making it crooked here. Just like that. Real easy. glued. Before we glue this on though, we gotta make sure everything is true and straight. And basically you're gotta make sure that all your ribs are touching the building surface. Okay, that's first, very important. So all my ribs are done. Also, make sure that your trailing edge stock and leading edge stock is lined up over the plans. Okay, and if it's not, then make your adjustments. You do it now, because once we start moving on to the next steps, that is basically gluing the ribs to the trailing edges and stuff. And once that, you add the glue and it's crooked or it's off, then it's too late. Okay, so do it now while nothing is glued in place. Everything is just being held tight fit. So I'm just going to pull that just like that. Since I moved it, I gotta make sure that we're still touching. Alright, cool. So we're golden, we're good. Of course, this is gonna move back like that. Alright. So now we're going to do this on. And the main thing too is making sure that this is down. And everything is all down into the notches and stuff. Just want to make sure I got this correct. Just like that. Just make sure everything is down. And that's aligned. Everything is still in alignment right now, so that's going to get put on there. So this is for this one. Six. 6 and a 6. Then we'll do another S6. Okay. This is for S6. We'll get another 1/4. Wow. Utilizing a lot of this 1/4 stop just for jigs. Interesting. Okay, that's for another S1. Now that goes back in that. Now let's go and do S1. And on this one, I want to kind of bevel this a little bit. This thing is in beveling. Right. Now we're going to basically glue the ribs to the trailing edge stock here and also the leading edge. So the trailing edge for the elevator and the leading edge spars and the ribs. And then after that we're going to put in the stab brace. And the stab brace is right here on the Flite die cut sheet. Or I'm so used to die cut, but laser cut. And so we got that right there. Okay. So just gonna go ahead, and before we do any gluing, I'm just gonna double check everything again. Make sure our alignments are right, everything is straight and true, and then we'll go ahead and start adding glue. And of course, once we need to do the leading edge, we got to take care of that as well, a beveled angle. All right, guys, so now we're gonna go ahead and start gluing the ribs to the trailing edge and also the leading edge of the elevator leading edge spar. The ribs to that, okay? And so with my square, I made sure that the trailing edge is directly over the plans, lined up with its actual line. And so far everything here is nice and straight, to include the center section all the way down to this end over here. Maybe this one could go sliding like that. Let's push this down. Okay. Just like that, just like that. And there's my baby kitty. Just like that. Okay. Go ahead and start adding glue here. So I'm going to make sure that this is really touching against the rib, this trailing edge here. So I'm just going to push it in towards the rib without moving anything. Just like that. All glued down. Of course, we'll go back over with some medium CA. most part, all the ribs are all nice and straight with the plans. Everything is looking good. Alright, so from here we're going to go ahead and we're going to punch out the stab brace. We got the stab brace cut out, and that's going to go right in here, just like such. So we get glued in just like that. Alright, so we went ahead and we glued the stab brace up front. Okay, that's all glued in. And from there, what I'm doing right now is it's sanding the front of the ribs to that bevel based off the plans. Very easily and carefully, so we don't break the ribs. So we got that portion bevel, well, at least on the left hand side. And it has a nice fit. All the ribs are actually touching the leading edge here. And then from there, we will cut the center piece to a bevel so it can do both sides and it can join in the middle, just like such. Alright. Blocks. I gotta look at some scale references on a P47 and just see how the horizontal fin stabilizer and elevator portion wingtips, or the tips of the elevators, how they actually are on there. So I don't know if they just go straight out. Some of them I think kind of has a slant type deal. I'm not sure. We'll see. I have to look at some libraries and stuff and find out which one I'm going to choose. That's always been the hardest part, is trying to figure out what library, what color scheme, paint scheme, all that stuff. I want to do them all, but can't. Can only choose one. So, but yeah, I installed the leading edge. I thought I was recording, but it is what it is. But anywho, we didn't miss much. All I did was pretty much glue the leading edge to the front of the ribs, and so that is pretty much done. All right, moving on. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to sheet this center piece right here. I've got to use a 3/32 by 4 inch by 30 balsa sheet. Nice. So we're going to basically make this up here, and we're going to glue this right in there. And so the best way for me to do that is to make a template pretty much from here. Nothing fancy at the moment. Alright, just like that. Cool. Alrighty. So we get our balsa sheeting. All right, and so we went ahead and we did the actual sheeting here based off of the template. And so the template that we made was this one right here. Okay, so now we can put this thing on, make it flush on the top of the rib and down in there. So from here, everything is all nice and straight, everything's all nice and flushed. Okay. Basically put some thin CA on this right now. Basically lock this down. Oops. Before we do that, let me just pull this together. Just like that. That way I can concentrate on getting this flush, just like that. Make sure this front is flush all the way down as well. And we can use a little bit of this to get it aligned with that rib, just like that. Okay. Just move that away and just do that. All right. So we're good with that. We'll just save this. I don't know if we have to do that to the bottom side. So we'll just save that template just in case. And throw all this in there. Scrap. So the next part to do is basically sanding the top of the ribs here to blend in the ribs with the trailing edge, and also blending in the leading edge. So, basically get that nice continuation with the contour, because we're going to be sheeting the top of the horizontal stabilizer, which is pretty much what's coming up next. All right, guys. Okie dokie. So I think we're just gonna call the end of this video, at least for part one. But I will see you guys in the next video. Try to put out a video at least once a week. We'll see how that goes. Yeah. So until the next video, you guys have a good one. Alrighty. Shoo-shoo!